Hi, everyone. Welcome to Vibe Vessels, where we master our frequency, align our mind and body, and manifest the life we actually want to live. In today's video, we're going to talk about Florence Scovel Shinn's lecture on intuition and guidance from her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. I have the book link below in the description if you want to check it out. This lecture of hers isn't just about hearing a gut feeling. It's about aligning so deeply with the divine that your path is lit before you even take the first step. Let's talk about how to tune into the frequency of divine direction. Okay, so what is intuition? Florence begins this chapter by saying, in order to lead a spiritual life, man must be able to control the imagination. But what fuels this spiritual control? It's intuition. She defines it not just as a hunch or a random whisper from within. Intuition is the voice of God within us. It's the superconscious mind, the channel through which divine wisdom flows without interference from logic, fear, or ego. In other terms, intuition is your soul's built-in GPS. It's a direct line from spirit, unfiltered, instant, and precise. The problem with overthinking. Let's talk about that. Florence warns us in her book that too many people live in the reasoning mind, the conscious, analytical, doubting part of ourselves. And this reasoning mind, it normally lives in fear, limitation, and doubt. She writes, if one asks for success and prepares for failure, he will get the situation he has prepared for. When we lean only on logic, we block the divine flow. Intuition works in faith and not fear. For example, you're offered 2 job opportunities. One pays more, but one feels right but looks risky. The reasoning mind would say, go where the money is. But your intuition might whisper, the other job leads to your purpose. And if you trust that inner whisper, miracles will begin to unfold. Not only will you live your purpose, but you'll also go where the money is, even if it didn't look like it at first. The role of guidance. Okay, so Florence makes it clear that we're not meant to figure life out on our own. She says, God is the giver of every good and perfect gift. He knows the desires of every heart. So why struggle? Why guess? When we tune in and ask for guidance, divine intelligence begins arranging every detail. Florence tells the story of a woman who lost her purse on the subway, and instead of panicking, she said, infinite intelligence knows where that purse is and brings it to me. She received a call the next day because someone had found it and returned it. That's guidance in action. That's living by spiritual law. Now let's talk about how to receive intuition. Okay, so Florence gives us a method. Be still, speak your word, or in other words, affirm your desire, and then wait in faith. Because as she says, faith is expectancy. You must act as if you have already received. So let's break it down. Let's say you're trying to decide whether to move cities. You say, Infinite Spirit, open the way for the right move. Let me be clearly guided. And I wait in peace. Then you let go, you watch, you listen, and then a friend randomly tells you about an apartment, or maybe you have a vivid dream, and that's the signal. Let's talk about the dangers of forcing decisions. Florence warns us that forcing any issue breaks the divine current or blocks the divine flow. She gives another example of a man who insisted on taking a certain train despite delays. Florence said, "Let's ask for clear guidance." He refused and missed a blessing. Had he waited, a much better outcome would have arrived. Because you can't hear your intuition when you're rushing or obsessing. You hear your intuition in stillness, surrender, and expectancy. Okay, let's get into some examples of how we can use intuition in our everyday lives. So, Florence encourages to ask for guidance in everything, not just big life decisions, but small everyday decisions too. For example, what to wear to attract the right energy, which street to walk down, you might avoid an accident, or what to say during a difficult conversation. She shares a story of a woman who asked for guidance on how to word a letter, and she was divinely led to write it in a way that melted resistance and brought harmony. Ask, listen, follow the nudge. That's the formula. All right, so let's go through the steps. Be still, pause the spiral, sit down, breathe. That's the first step. Step 2, speak your word. Say, "I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free." Infinite intelligence now opens the perfect opportunity for me. I am divinely guided. Step 3 is to listen. You might suddenly feel a strong urge to call someone, or you see a post or something else that speaks to your soul, or someone mentions an idea that might light you up. Step 4 is to act on the guidance. Don't hesitate, take the inspired step. And step 5 is to stay in faith. No matter what, do not panic. Don't panic if things look slow. Florence reminds us that faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly. So just keep affirming, "I walk in the light. I am guided by divine love." Let's get into some of the affirmations we can use for this. I am divinely guided at every moment. Infinite intelligence reveals the perfect next step. The divine plan of my life now unfolds with ease. Let me know in the comments something that your intuition has been telling you. Remember, your intuition is not a whisper in the dark. It is the light itself. It is the voice of God within you, guiding, loving, and calling you forward. When you trust your intuition, you don't walk alone. You walk with the full power of the universe behind you. So I want you to ask yourself, what would it look like if I trusted completely? And then listen. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful.